Why do Jewish people, representing only 0.2% of the world's population, hold more than 20% of Nobel Prizes and control a disproportionate percentage of global wealth? Why are names like Rothschild, Rockefeller, Zuckerberg, Sergey Brin, and Larry Ellison among the wealthiest on the planet? Luck? Conspiracy? No. The answer lies in something far more fascinating, a millennia-old system of principles and practices that I call the Jewish engineering of wealth. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the secrets that have made the Jewish people one of the most prosperous in history, and how you can apply these same principles to your life, regardless of your religion or background. This is going to completely change the way you think about money. Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Wisdom. If you've watched the previous videos, you already understand that prosperity begins in the mind and soul, and you've learned about the spiritual laws that govern wealth. Now we're going to dive into something extremely powerful and practical, the concrete teachings of the Jewish tradition on how to build and maintain prosperity. And if you want to be part of this transformational journey, hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is thousands of years of wisdom condensed into minutes. Let's start with an undeniable historical fact. For centuries, the Jewish people were persecuted, expelled from their lands, forbidden from owning property in many countries, and prevented from practicing various professions. They lost everything countless times, and yet they managed not only to survive, but to prosper in extraordinary ways. How? The answer lies in the teachings passed down from generation to generation through the Talmud, the Torah, and oral tradition. These aren't just religious texts. They are practical manuals of wisdom on all aspects of life, including finances, business, commercial ethics, and building sustainable wealth. What many people don't understand is that Judaism doesn't view wealth as something negative or sinful. On the contrary, prosperity is seen as a blessing from God and a responsibility. In the Talmud, it is written, "He who does not teach his son a trade, it is as if he taught him to steal." You see, there is a moral obligation to be productive, to create value, to prosper. But the Jewish engineering of wealth isn't about greed or selfish accumulation. It's about creating abundance to bless others, to contribute to the community, to leave a legacy. It's a complete and balanced system that integrates material prosperity with spiritual purpose. I'm going to share with you the 5 fundamental pillars that support the Jewish engineering of wealth. These principles have transformed entire generations and can transform your life too. First pillar. Education is the greatest investment in Jewish culture. Education is not optional, it's sacred. Investment in knowledge comes before any other investment. Why? Because knowledge is the only asset that no one can take from you. You can lose money, properties, businesses, but what's in your mind remains forever. There's a Jewish proverb that says, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance." The Jewish tradition values education so much that historically, even in the poorest communities, parents made immense sacrifices to ensure their children studied. And we're not just talking about formal education. We're talking about financial education, education about business, about ethics, about relationships, about life. A traditional Jew dedicates time every day to study the Talmud, which contains not only spiritual teachings but also sophisticated principles of economics, commercial law, and resource management. Second pillar, tzedakah, the obligation of generosity. I already mentioned this in the previous video, but I need to go deeper because this is one of the most revolutionary pillars. Tzedakah is not optional. Charity. It's a moral and spiritual obligation. Tradition teaches that you should give at least 10% of your income, and ideally up to 20%, to help those in need. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't seen as a loss. It's seen as a spiritual investment. Maimonides, one of the greatest Jewish sages, created a scale of 8 levels of tzedakah, the highest being when you help someone become self-sufficient through a loan, partnership, or work. Do you see the wisdom? It's not about creating dependency. It's about empowering people. And when you circulate abundance regularly, you keep the flow of prosperity active in your own life. The universe responds to your generosity with more resources for you to circulate. Third pillar, partnership and community. Jews understand something fundamental. No one becomes wealthy alone. Tradition immensely values the concept of partnership, support networks, and strengthened community. Historically, when Jews migrated to new countries, they immediately created mutual support networks, loaned money to each other without interest to start businesses, and shared opportunities. There's a concept in the Talmud called gemach, which are community loan funds without interest. Imagine this. You want to start a business but don't have capital. Your community lends you the money without charging a penny of interest. When you prosper, you pay it back and help the next person. It's a system of collective prosperity. The lesson here is clear. Invest in relationships. Build your network genuinely. Be willing to help others grow, because when you elevate your community, you elevate yourself as well. Fourth pillar, dignified work and value creation. In Judaism, work is not a curse, it's an honor. There's a famous story in the Talmud about a sage who said, "Great is work, for it honors the worker." Even the greatest rabbis had professions. Hillel was a woodcutter, Shammai was a builder, Rashi was a winemaker. Manual labor was respected as much as intellectual work. But here's the most important principle. Your work must create genuine value. It's not about deceiving, manipulating, or taking advantage. Jewish business ethics are extremely rigorous. There's a concept called genevat da'at, which means theft of knowledge or deception. Even if you don't literally steal money, if you deceive someone, if you sell something worthless, you violate this principle. Sustainable wealth comes from creating real value, from solving real problems, from genuinely serving. When you focus on authentic contribution, money is a natural consequence. Fifth pillar, long-term planning and legacy. Jews don't just think about their own generation, they think about the next generations. There's a concept called dor lador, from generation to generation. You don't build wealth just for yourself, you build it for your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. This creates a completely different mindset. You don't seek immediate gratification. You make decisions thinking in decades. You invest in your children's education knowing the return will come in their future. You build businesses to last generations, not for quick gain. And there's something more. Jewish tradition teaches that your legacy is not only financial, it's moral and spiritual. What values are you transmitting? What impact are you leaving on the world? This awareness of legacy completely transforms your financial decisions. Now, how do you apply these 5 pillars in your concrete life, starting today? Practice 1. Invest in your education. Constantly commit to dedicating at least 30 minutes a day to learning something new related to your field, personal finances, or personal development. It could be reading books, taking online courses, listening to podcasts, watching educational videos. Treat this as sacred, non-negotiable. And teach your children or people around you about money, about entrepreneurship, about creating value. Financial education should begin in childhood, but it's never too late to start. If you consistently invest in knowledge, you become invaluable in the marketplace. Practice 2. Establish your personal tzedakah. Decide now on a fixed percentage of your income that you'll dedicate to helping others. You can start with 5%, 10%, whatever is possible for you right now. What matters is consistency and intention. And here's a higher level. Don't just give money, help people prosper. Teach someone a skill. Introduce someone to a job opportunity. Mentor someone for free. This is the highest level of tzedakah according to Maimonides, and it's what creates real transformation. Practice 3. Build your prosperity network. Identify 5 people in your life who are committed to growth and prosperity. Create a mutual support group. Meet regularly to share opportunities, learnings, and challenges. Celebrate each other's victories. Support each other in difficult times. And be willing to create win-win partnerships. If you have one skill and someone has another, combine forces. If you have capital and someone has a good idea, invest together. Collective prosperity is always more sustainable than individual prosperity. Practice 4. Evaluate your work by value creation. Ask this question daily. What real value am I creating today? If you're an employee, how can you solve your company's problems better? If you're an entrepreneur, how can you serve your customers more exceptionally and live with impeccable ethics? Never deceive, never manipulate, never take advantage of anyone. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. A reputation takes years to build and can be destroyed in seconds. Always negotiate so that all parties win. Practice 5. Think in generations. Create a simple document called My Legacy. Write, 50 years from now, when I'm no longer here, what do I want my descendants and the people I've impacted to say about me? This will transform your financial decisions. Start investing with the long term in mind. Don't seek quick enrichment. Build something solid, sustainable, that can last generations. And most importantly, transmit values, not just wealth. These 5 pillars, education, generosity, community, value creation, and legacy, aren't isolated practices. They form an integrated system that has created lasting prosperity for the Jewish people through millennia of adversity. And here's what's most powerful. These principles aren't exclusive to one religion. They're universal principles of prosperity that anyone can apply. It doesn't matter your background, your current situation, your beliefs. If you adopt these pillars, you'll transform your relationship with money and build real, sustainable wealth. In the next video, we're going to talk about self-mastery and emotional wealth, because it's no use having all the knowledge in the world, following all the principles, if you don't have control over your emotions, if you make impulsive decisions, if you're a slave to your fears and desires. Self-mastery is what transforms knowledge into results. And then we'll close with a complete action plan, step by step, integrating everything we've learned in this series. You'll have a clear roadmap to implement a truly prosperous life. I want you to understand something fundamental. Jewish engineering of wealth has worked for thousands of years, not because it's magic, but because it's wise. These are time-tested principles, refined through generations, that create sustainable prosperity. You don't need to be Jewish to apply these principles. You just need to have the humility to learn from a tradition that has survived everything and prospered. Invest in education, practice generosity, build community, create real value, think about legacy. If you do this consistently, your financial life will change in ways you can't even imagine. Here's my challenge for you. Choose one of the 5 pillars that resonated most with you and commit to implementing it for the next 30 days. Just one. Master that one, then add the next. Real transformation doesn't happen by doing everything at once. It happens through consistent progress. If you're committed to this journey, if you want to continue learning ancient wisdom applied to the modern world, click that subscribe button now and turn on notifications. Leave a like if this video added value. And comment below, which of the 5 pillars will you implement first? Education, generosity, community, value creation, or legacy? I want to know, and I'll support you in the comments. True prosperity isn't an accident, it's engineering. It's following proven principles, tested over thousands of years. You have access to this knowledge now. The only question that remains is, will you apply it? See you in the next video, where we'll talk about self-mastery and emotional wealth. Until then, build your prosperity with ancient wisdom.